Hi everyone, my name is Audrey and welcome to my channel. So today I am doing a new video that will be part of a new series I'm doing. It's a series I'm very excited to do. So I'm going to be drawing some book covers. So grab a drink, a snack, get comfy and buckle up because this is going to be a long video. So I got this idea to draw some book covers because I was reflecting on my BookTube newbie tag and I was thinking about the question, what are some unique and fun things you can bring to BookTube? So I was thinking about that. I remember I said that I didn't know what new and unique thing I could bring to BookTube, but I was thinking about it and I remember saying, well, I'm an artist. That's what I identify the most too. So I might as well do some art. And so, yeah, I'm starting this new concept, this new series. I won't be doing them every week though, because it is a very time consuming type of video to do. I don't know what editing choices I'm going to make and what the result will look like. I'm just going with the flow here. So if you have any ideas, any suggestions, any things that you would like to see in this video, please let me know in the comments. I am very open to new suggestions and to improve myself, so hopefully they will get better. I also don't have a great setup right now, so I only have one tripod with my ring light and my camera, and doing overhead views was pretty difficult. I cannot move because I don't want to knock my tripod over. My tripod is already broken because it happened before. So yeah. So it's not very practical and efficient. So I just ordered a new setup so that I can put my camera over here without having the tripod. I think it's going to be way better in the next videos in this series, and I am looking for a second camera so I can have multiple angles at the same time. But for now, we're going to make do with what I have. So for those of you who haven't watched my BookTube newbie tag, I did talk about myself a little bit in that video, and I said that I was an art and music teacher. Yeah, I love teaching both, but I have been in a drawing slump. I haven't been drawing since the last 2 years, so please be kind with me. I was really rusty, and it's not a perfect work. I do not pretend to be a professional artist. I do teach in elementary school, but I'm not a professional artist. But I was really happy to get back to drawing, and I found it very motivating to draw book covers. So hopefully I will be able to do many more in the future. I'm looking for about one every month because yeah, it's time consuming. It took me about 4 hours to complete the drawing, and then I had to cut the 4-hour footage and speed it up, and now I have 1 hour footage that I'm probably going to have to cut through as well. And I have to film this part, so it's a very time consuming video to make, but I'm still very happy to do it. Hopefully I'll get better at this and be able to offer you more videos like this one. Before I get started, I do have a disclaimer. So I am an art teacher, and as I always say to my students, there are as many art techniques as there are artists in this world. So what I use as a technique may not be suitable for you, and it doesn't mean that it's the only way to do things and to draw. It's just my own experience and my own way to do it. This is not a tutorial video, but I will be walking through my own process through the drawing. So I will be talking about my own technique, and I will also be giving you some analysis of the book cover in itself. I am not a graphic designer. I am not a book cover expert, and in book covers there is the art aspect of the cover and there's also the marketing aspect of the cover, and I will not be talking about the marketing aspect. I have zero skills in marketing and that's not what I'm going to look at. I will be talking about the cover as an art in itself. When I analyze artworks, I use symbolism and try to make sense out of everything that's being shown in the artwork. And symbolism is very subjective, so every symbol that I use is from my own personal background, so from my own culture, my own biases, and my own experience in art. It does not mean that it is the truth. I may miss some things, and maybe I will say some things that are wrong. Please correct me if I do. So if I think about North American culture, when we think about funerals, when we attend funerals, we are expected to wear black or dark clothing, and I know that other cultures around the world, they wear white instead. So this is an example of symbols being different. So the symbols I'm going to use and talk about are symbols from my own culture and my personal background. Now your featured presentation. Okay, so enough rambling. This is going to be such a long video. So today, as you've seen in the video, I am drawing the Six of Crows book cover. I really love this cover. I won't be doing videos on covers that I haven't read the book, because if the cover is relevant, I do need to understand the book and know what it's about. I have read Six of Crows recently, and I don't know, I just love the cover, and I decided to go with this one. So before getting into the drawing, the colored pencils that I use are the Faber-Castell polychromos pencils. These are my favorite. They are professional grade. They are an amazing company. They have amazing products. I really just love this company. But there are a lot of products out there that exist that are high quality as well, that may be more suited for you. I will link in the description below a video from Sarah Renee Clark. She did a whole video comparing brands and different type of colored pencils. It's a very thorough research, so if you're looking to get into drawing, I highly suggest that you go check that out. I'm also not an art channel, so I haven't been on YouTube for very long. I discovered BookTube about a year and a half ago, so when the pandemic first started in March 2020, and then I just very recently discovered channels on art with tutorials and how to draw this and that, and I'm very new to that. I'm not pretending to be an art channel. I'm just here to have fun. And then I use the Strathmore Bristol paper. I really love this paper for colored pencils. I know it's not the favorite of everyone, but it's my personal favorite. Some people don't like it at all for coloring pencils. I really love it, so that's what I use. I also use the Canson Tracing paper to trace my book picture. I am not sponsored at all for these products. Those are just my own preferred material. So without further ado, let's get into the drawing. So my first step was to trace the outlines of the picture of the book. So I used this tracing paper so I could have the correct proportions and the right size of everything that's in the book. Some people may say that it's cheating. Personally, I believe that technique is one thing, and to be able to draw just with your eyes is great. If you have that amazing technique, good for you. But I don't believe that it's necessarily easy, because if you have technique but no creativity and you don't do anything with your technique, that doesn't make you an artist necessarily. It's the choices that you make that make you an artist. So some people will use projectors and other people will use grids. There are multiple ways to reproduce a picture, an existing picture. This is what I prefer, but it's a very personal choice. So I first outlined the basic lines of the picture that I needed there, the important parts. So I retraced all of the outlines on the other side, and then I taped my tracing paper on the table with my final paper that I was going to draw on, and then redo the outlines. So the pencil that was underneath on the other side will transfer to the Bristol paper when I outline a third time. I hope this makes sense. If you do use this technique, I highly recommend that you use a 3B or higher pencil so that you don't need to actually press on your paper to get that pencil transferred, because I don't think you're going to see it in the video, but I unfortunately made that mistake and I pressed a little too hard on my pencil, and that resulted in getting some lines creased in the paper, and when you color over those lines they just stay blank and white, and it was another struggle to try to make them less there, to make them blend with the picture. So the less you press on your pencil, the better. Then I decided to start with the lettering because the lettering is red and the red color tends to be a little transparent. So I had to erase all of the pencil marks underneath so it doesn't bleed through the red, and it's the same thing for the black. So most of the writing has black all around of the letters, so I didn't want the black to bleed into the red letters, so that's why I started with the red. And before doing anything at all, I did start by doing some color tests on the paper, and to make sure I knew right away what color I was going to use, and to make sure I wasn't going to scrap my whole drawing. So that step is also a very important step. If you want to do a more elaborate drawing, I highly recommend you do your coloring tests before. If you're gonna make a moon stop waiting, 'cause I don't really know what I'm supposed to do. So tell me how I play it cool. Yeah, no. To do. So tell me how I play it cool. I remember when my mother would kiss me goodnight and tuck me in, and we would pray together. I recall a day a stranger had told me to not let my smile fade when the world was prettier. Oh, my innocence is gone, and I feel the cold front on its way now. I remember when the devil on my shoulder told me there'd be a day where I might suffocate. Running fast, pressure's on, and I can barely breathe. I said goodbye to the days of playing hide and seek. Running fast, pressure's on, I need some air to breathe. Can't go back to the days of playing hide and seek. Yeah. I don't know when an enemy came by and planted an evil seed. Oh, if only
taking over me. Oh, my innocence is gone and my flame is going strong. Won't let it suffocate. Running fast, pressure's on, and I can barely breathe. You said goodbye to the days of playing hide and seek. Running fast, pressure's on, I need some air to breathe. Can't go back to the days of playing hide and seek. Yeah. Yeah. On, and I can barely breathe. You said goodbye to the days of playing hide and seek. Running fast, pressure's on, I need some air to breathe. Can't go back to the days of playing hide and seek. Running fast, pressure's on, and I can barely breathe. You said goodbye to the days of playing hide and seek. Running fast, pressure's on, I need some air to breathe. Can't go back to the days of playing hide and seek.
Sitting on my own in a hotel room on a rainy day. Sitting on my own with an old guitar, and I'm far away.
White, black, and then I chose 2 types of gray as well as 2 types of blue. And then I did some tests, and it's not always possible to have the exact same color as what's in the book. So if I do want to get that exact color, I need to blend the colors together. So I found these two types of blue and gray that I loved when I mixed them together, and I thought it was the perfect match for this drawing. What I also love about Faber-Castell products is that the pencils stay sharp when you need very tiny details, and that's exactly what I needed for the lettering, because some parts of the letters are very, very thin, and it was very easy for me to keep that pencil very sharp. Then I decided to continue the drawing with the crow and then finish with the background at the end. So there's a lot of thing going on in the crow, and even if, yes, it's a black crow, there's a lot going on in there. So if you pay attention to the book cover, you can see that there are some nuances in the hue of the black. A lot of people tend to forget that there's different type of blacks and there's different hues of black as well. So I always like to put in some color to add some nuances in blacks. And even if you have darker shades, it's always important to start with lighter shades at first and then add more and more until you get the correct shade you want. Because if you draw too dark at the beginning, it's very hard to simply erase and get back to the lighter point.
you need me. Tell me that you need me too. Tell me that you feel it. Tell me that you feel it too. Tell me that you need me. Tell me that you need me too. Sitting on my own in a hotel room on a rainy day. Sitting on my own with an old guitar, and I'm far away.
So here I'm starting with some gray at the beginning, getting the contour of the letters so I don't bleed into them, and trying to be very careful with that. And I'm also going to be putting in some blue hue because there is some blue in the feathers of the crow. There's also some texture for the feathers of the brows, so I did try to draw it with some strokes that would imitate that type of texture. So while I am coloring the crow, I will be talking more about the artwork itself and the symbols that are in there, and why I believe that this is a great book cover for this series. So I'm going to talk about 4 aspects of this drawing. The first one is composition, the second one is colors, the third one is textures, and the fourth one is the symbols related to the book. So composition is not a thing that a lot of people that are not into art know about, but it's a very important part of the art itself. It's something that I love to work, and it's really often forgotten in art classes, but it's a very important part, and composition can actually make or break your artwork. So what is the composition of an artwork? It is how and where you place all of the elements of your artwork. So what you want in an artwork, when you look at it, you want your eye to be circulating around the art piece so that it doesn't stay in one place in the art. So for that, you can look for lines. A good tip to look for the lines of your art piece is to close your eyes nearly shut and keep them a little tiny bit open, and then the main outline of your art piece that you're going to see, those are your main lines. So here in 6 of Crows, we have the triangle pattern, which is a pattern that we see a lot in artworks in general because it's very efficient. So the triangle will allow the eye to circulate all around the piece without it staying stuck in one place, so you can fully appreciate the whole art piece instead of only one part of the art. There's also the openness that is very important in art pieces. So as you can see, we do not see the whole crow, so the end part and the beak are cut. They are not on the book cover, and it would be a total different art piece if we would see that crow in full. And having those parts cut from the picture, from the frame, gives the picture an opening so your eye can actually get out of the picture and see it as a whole, knowing that there's parts missing and you can imagine those parts even if they're not there. So when you are creating a drawing, those are things that you try to think about when you place all the elements you want to place in your drawing. Next, we have the colors. So as I've said before in this video, we have 6 main colors. So the first one is red, then we have blue, gray, black, and white. So the only color that is really bright and saturated is the red color for the lettering of the title. All of the other colors are very tarnished colors and very blended. That is an artistic choice because the contrast between the lettering and the rest of the picture is going to stand out a lot more. Also, if you are not familiar with the color chart, you can divide the colors into temperature colors. So you have the cold colors and you have the warm colors. And most of the picture is done with cold colors and the lettering is done with a warm color. So if you do want to make that type of contrast, you can use this technique so it will make a bigger impact with your colors. Also, the fact that blue is also integrated into the feathers of the crow, it helps to have a unified picture as a whole. So sometimes, yes, we do like to have contrast, and other times it's good to have something that unifies the elements together. I know it's not an easy thing to deal with, but with time you can try different things, and that's one of the reasons why I recommend that you do some tests beforehand. The third aspect I wanted to talk about is the textures. So at first glance, you might not notice that there are textures in this drawing, but there are. So you have this texture of the crow, the feathers, and then you have a texture that is very different, which is the texture of the background, and it's a texture of clouds, which is more evanescent and a lot less tangible. So that's another way to create contrast as well. And if you do want to have impact with those contrasts, you can see that in the bottom where you have the little towers, they are not textured as a normal wall or tower castle would be like. They're textured with the same cloudish finish to it, so it really creates something totally different than if the castle was actually drawn with a rock brick type of texture. So before getting into the symbols, I think it's very important that you know what the book is about so you better understand the symbols and why they are relevant to the book. Six of Crows is a very popular book on BookTube, but for those of you who have not read this book yet, it is a YA fantasy set in a magical world. It follows 6 characters from the city of Ketterdam. They are thugs, thieves, and they work for a gang, and they are hired to do an impossible magical heist. So the first symbol I'm going to talk about is the crow. So obviously it's the most prevalent element of this book cover because first of all, it's in the title and because it covers most of the drawing. So at first glance, it's pretty obvious that crows are very important to this book, and the reason why the crow is very relevant is because you cannot choose a better bird to represent these characters. They are not noble characters, they are from the streets, and they are thugs and thieves, and crows are viewed pretty negatively. So wherever you see crows in North America, it's not necessarily a good sign, and they're not noble birds, so I think they fit very well to represent the characters. And yes, they call themselves crows in the book, but there's a very good reason why, and I think it's very brilliant. Another thing you can observe in this picture is that the crow is in action. So it's not just standing by and looking and observing something or someone, it's actually in action, flying through the air. And I think that it tells a lot about what's going on into this book. There's a lot of things that do happen in this book as well. So these characters are always in action, defending themselves and taking offense as well. So the fact that the crow is flying is also a really good representation of these characters. What I like most about this crow is the tip of the feathers. Because the characters are thieves, they do steal things and they are hired for a heist. So when you think heist, you can easily think about your little fingers trying to steal something. And the way that it's drawn in this picture, I think it's beautifully done, and it really reminds those little fingers. And the thing that I like most about those feathers are the forms and counterforms. So for those of you who are not familiar with these terms, forms are the shapes that you draw, and the counterforms are the shapes that appear from beside your drawing. So here you have the feathers that are the forms, and you have building, towers, castle that are in a counterform. I think that is a really brilliant way to draw this, because yes, the towers represent the place they're going to go to do the heist, but it's also kind of hidden between the feathers. And in this book, it's very secretive because it's an important mission. No one can know they're doing it, and it is an incognito mission. And unless you observe and you know these characters very, very well, and you take the time to observe them, you're not going to know that they're doing a heist and where they're going and what they're doing. I think it was the perfect way to actually portray what is going on. Talking about towers, there's also the texture of the background. So the background does blend with the towers because it's trying to hide itself, because we don't want people to know what's going on. We wanted to keep it a secret. Blending it with the background is perfect for deceit, which is very present in this book. And the clouds really do help with the ambience of this story, and the colors really do emphasize this aspect as well. So if there were really bright colors, it wouldn't be representative of the vibes of the world that these characters live in. It's pretty dark and grim, so you don't want to have those bright colors up front in a drawing to represent that world. So here the tarnished blue gray is a really perfect representation of the setting of the book.
We've come too far to throw away all the memories that we have made. You and I were meant to be. Yeah. I wanna take your love all the way before you take your love away. We gotta take your love all the way. Just don't take your love away. Hey. Is there a price I need to pay to make you stay with me tonight? There's nothing that I wouldn't do to make this all alright. We've come too far to throw away all the memories that we have made. You and I were meant to be. Yeah. I wanna take your love all the way before you take your love away. We gotta take your love all the way. Just don't take your love away. Hey. I wanna take your love all the way before you take your love away. We gotta take your love all the way. Just don't take your love away. Hey.
Got myself up in the backseat, driving to you on the back streets. All the other ones are asking, but I don't give a fuck, they nasty. I'm just trying to find you, cause I don't got no ties. We're running out of time, so I'll be home tonight. I'm coming home, come right back to me. I'm coming home, yeah. I just wanna see you, wanna be with you right now. Why would I leave you? Cause I need you here right now. I just wanna see you, wanna be with you right now. Wanna be with you right now. Cause I'm coming home. Yeah, cause I'm coming home. Yeah. Got me staring out the window, only seconds till I get home. Then we can let go. We're going up to the bedroom. It's been so long, baby, and your love might save me. Cause it feels like I'm home when I'm with you. I'm coming home, come right back to me. I'm coming home. I just wanna see you, wanna be with you right now. Why would I leave you? Cause I need you here right now.
So now I'm starting to do the background, and I'm not very happy with what I've done. It's not that bad, it's just that I'm a perfectionist and I'm not 100% satisfied with the work I've done. First of all, because as I said in the beginning of this video, I did press on my pencil a little too hard, making some creases in the paper. So when I wanted to do some very small coloring, it was very hard to blend away those creases with a light coloring. And I did color a little too dark at first. I should have gone way lighter and add more layers to it, as I've done with the crow, but here I don't know why I went way too dark to start with. The thing is, by going too dark, I had those coloring strokes that were showing a lot. They really bothered me, and they still do. I did try to blend them as much as possible, but I did not get the result I was trying to get. I did try to erase some parts of it to lighten it up and try to correct it as much as possible, but it was a very hard thing to do, and I did my best once I first colored the blue parts, but I was not totally happy with how it ended up. It's not that bad, it's just not exactly how I wished it turned out. I think that if I would have chosen soft pastels to do the background instead of coloring pencils, it might have been easier to do because soft pastels do blend in way better, and you can easily get this cloudy type of texture with those pastels. So as you can see here, I tried to blend with a pointy end and a soft cloth. You can use your fingers or a paper towel or some stumps. You can find those little stumps in art stores. I didn't have any handy with me, and once they're all colored up, you have to sand them to make them all white again, which I did not have the time to do, so I just went on and got a soft cloth instead, but it still does the same job. And then I ended my drawing by retouching some little details here and there, and then I finished with the metallic silver pencil. In the original cover, there are some foil embossed on the book cover, and I wanted to recreate that effect. It's not as metallic as the real cover, but it's still very glittery, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. I also totally forgot to draw the little red line on the side there. I remember when I saw the drawing, I didn't understand why the line of the crow didn't go all the way through. I thought I just forgot to draw it all in, and then once I was way too advanced through the process of the drawing, I realized that it was the space that was reserved for the little thin red line on the side, because my copy has this thing where the book cover is a little bit shorter than the rest of the book, so there's a color that appears on the side, and I forgot to do that, but it's fine. I intentionally did not put on all the writings and letterings from the book. I only put in the title because the rest of the letters were too small for me to do with colored pencils, and I really hate the Netflix symbol there. So I just drew on with the rest of the background. So here it is, the final result of the drawing. I'm overall very satisfied with how it turned out, except for the cloud part, but it's not that bad. I'm very happy with my drawing. I have to admit, I did think it was going to be an easy drawing to do, but it turned out to be way more nuanced than I initially thought. And that's what I love about drawing, because when you start drawing from a picture that you already have, you have to take in all of those details that you don't necessarily observe when you're looking at the picture for the first times. And the more you draw, the more you discover some details, and I really love those discoveries.
You may think that I know too much, but no, it's never too much. Because when push comes to shove, girl, just trust I won't get sick of us. You my salty crush. I'm doing something different. Your name's been on my tongue. My cup's been looking fuller. You're picking pop my walls, and baby, let's settle up. Cause lately the world's been going crazy, and I gon' need somebody to talk. Saltine and ginger ale, that shit will never fail. I keep it tucked on my body cause I don't feel well. Girl, tell me something else. Saltine and ginger ale, that shit will never fail. And you may think that I know too much, but no, it's never too much. Because when push comes to shove, girl, just trust I won't get sick of us. Hold up, shimmer, comfort queen, my squeeze at night. Who opens up this packaging's too tight, ho, whoa. And know you got it like that. Bring it on back, cause you got it like that, ah, yeah. And know she got it like that. Sometimes desserts are best when last. Or your daddy gonna beat my ass. Yeah, baby, Boy, shoot, I can get enough. Spill twice, never wipe it up. Off the brakes and let these walls sip fast if you're feeling low. 10 spins to your own drum. You sighting with the sweetest cup. And you may think that I know too much, but no, it's never too much. Because when push comes to shove, girl, just trust I won't get sick of us.
So I hope you liked this video. I really had a great time to draw again, and I'm really excited to do some more. If you have anything you want to share with me, any comments, any suggestions of book covers that you would like me to do, I'm all open to discussion and suggestions, so leave them in the comments below. Hit the like button, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you want to be notified every time I post a new video, and I will see you in another one.